Hi everyone. So continuing with Atlanta week, I'm going to stop at the Atlanta Braves of the MLB. Seeing as spring training is starting today for a lot of teams with pitchers and catchers reporting, figured I'd do the baseball team for Atlanta today, the Braves. So last season they had a 79-83 record, not a great record. For 14 consecutive years, from 1991 to 2005, they won their divisional title. So that's a pretty impressive streak of having a successful record and being a very impressive team in your division as well as the league. The Nationals won their division last year, the NL East, a very convincing 96-66 record. So the Nationals for a long time were kind of a weaker team, didn't have a lot going for them. But what you'll see with teams who suck, for lack of a better word, for a few years. They acquire a lot of high draft picks. You'll see that with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. A few years back, they became a contender. Now they're kind of on the downslope again. But with Washington, they got Steven Strasburg and Bryce Harper and a lot of these good young players. Since they had some rough seasons, they got a lot of good young talent who have now blossomed and are now MLB stars. That's why they're now a great team and won that division very convincingly last season. Looking at some of their older players, and veteran players and players who have made an impact for their team who have now retired. Clearly, Chipper Jones, for a long time, was the third baseman for the Braves. They've retired as number 10. His career stats are unbelievable. 303 average, 468 home runs, over 2,700 hits, and over 1,600 RBIs. He'll be a Hall of Famer someday for sure. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, you had three pitchers throughout the 90s and early 2000s on the Braves that were elite, all-star, and just when you played the Braves, you had to deal with Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, as well as Tom Glavine. So when you got those three guys to deal with, it's going to be tough to try to win games against those three guys. When you look at those three guys combined, they're all Hall of Famers as of 2004. Combine those three guys, career statistics, 873 wins and 9,062 strikeouts for those three guys when you combine them. That is ridiculously impressive, very impressive starting rotation. And for a little while, John Smoltz was obviously a closer, so he was in the bullpen and got a lot of saves in his career as well as wins. But when you have those three guys in your starting rotation, most teams have a solid 1-2 punch. They had a 1-2-3 gonna knock you out kind of combination with those three guys on the starting roster and your starting pitching staff. So those are really three impressive guys that you had as your pitching staff right there. The Braves made a couple trades this offseason. They traded Justin Upton and right-handed pitcher Northcraft for a bunch of prospects. Another big trade they had was they traded Jason Hayward, their right fielder, and right-handed pitcher Walden, and got Shelby Miller as a starting pitcher back in return for that. So that's those are some interesting trades they made. Some big time players. When you look at Justin Upton, last season he had a 270 average, 29 home runs, and 102 RBIs. That's not going to be something that's easy to replace out in left field. So you went and got a veteran, Johnny Gomes. Again, last season just 234 average, 6 home runs, and 37 RBIs. So clearly not the kind of production that Justin Upton gives you. But Johnny Gomes has played over 1,100 games in the MLB, so he's another nice veteran guy to have out in left field. And last season he only played 112 games, so it's not really a full season. So who knows, with an extra 40, 50 games, he might be able to produce a little more. Coming from Boston, he knows how to play on a competitive and a strong team. So that's a good veteran guy to sign. Getting rid of Hayward, obviously last year 271, 11 home runs, 58 RBIs. So this offseason you signed Nick Markakis, who I feel is a right fielder who always flies under the radar, playing in the AL East for the Orioles in the past. You're always competing against players that play in the Yankees and the Red Sox that are going to get a lot more exposure. And then Jose Bautista, the right fielder for the Jays, has kind of been regarded as the face of the MLB. So when you're playing in the AL East with all these, historical teams who have players who are the face of the MLB or getting a lot of exposure because of the teams they play for, you're kind of going to fly under the radar. But Nick Markakis is an all-star caliber player. Last season he had better numbers than Hayward. He had a 276 average, 14 home runs, and 50 RBIs. So less RBIs, but more home runs, a little bit better average. So that's a good guy to have. And when you look at Markakis' career, he's a 290 career hitter. Like that's really good. If you can find a career hitter who's batting anything over 285, that's a guy that's going to produce for your team and not gain a lot of runs. And he's also got 658 career RBIs, so 42 RBIs this season. He'll get up to 7 career RBIs, so that's really good. And he's also played over 1,300 games. So when you look at your outfield now, you got Markakis in right, Johnny Gomes in left, and you still have B.J. Upton out in center field. You got 3 guys who have all at least played 1,100 career games. So you got a good veteran outfield. Still young guys though. B.J. Upton is only a career 243 batter kind of thing, so he doesn't have a good bat average wise. But he's got 264 career stolen bases, so he still gives you some speed on the base paths. And Johnny Gomes and Markakis are, like I said, with Markakis' career number, a good productive bat in the lineup. And with Johnny Gomes, you get a good veteran left fielder out there who is, does the little things and does what needs to get done for a team to win. So he's a good guy to have in your team. Another big season signing they had, AJ Pierzynski. Obviously, he's 38 this season. He's turning 39 the end of the year after the season will have been completed. So this might be his last season. Who knows? Like I said, he is 38, and as a catcher, you don't see too many catchers playing after 35 because your knees just get shot when you're a catcher. But Pierzynski, career 281 batter, so a good bat for a catcher. 837 career RBIs, so he just needs 63 to get to 900 career RBIs, so he should be able to do that this season for them. And he's played over 1,800 games, so he's had a very long MLB career. At the end of the season, he'll easily have played over 1,900 games. So that's good. You got that young catcher in Betancourt. He was only born in 91. So maybe Pierzynski, have them split it kind of thing. Pierzynski plays, 90 games and Betancourt plays 70 or something like that. So Betancourt can learn from Pierzynski. You're not going to sign a veteran guy who's 38 years old to your team and not have your young catcher learn from him. If I was Betancourt, I'd be listening to everything Pierzynski has to tell you and say to you, because, like I said, Pierzynski is probably only going to stick around for a year. So you might as well, listen up and get all the information you can from him while he's on your team. Another offseason acquisition they signed, obviously, Alberto Callaspo for second base. 267 career average, so not horrible, not great, but a guy for second base who can do what he needs to do and can help your team. So that's also good. And he's played in 996 career games, so he'll play over 1,000 games, within the first week of the MLB season this year. So that's good as well. Looking at guys that you retain and still have in your roster, like I said before, with B.J. Upton in center field, that's a good guy to have out there because, like I said, he's got 264 career stolen bases, so clearly he can cover a lot of ground in the outfield as well. Johnny Gomes isn't exactly the speediest guy out there. Nick Markakis, like I said, they've both played over 1,100 games, so they're not exactly young guys anymore either, nor is B.J. Upton, but if he's stealing 264 career stolen bases, he can clearly cover a lot of ground, so that's good. He'll be able to cover the outfield out there for with Nick Markakis and Johnny Gomes in right and left respectively. Also, Freddie Freeman, I don't think they're going to get rid of him for a long time. He's a 286 career hitter. Last season, you saw him have 18 home runs, 78 RBIs. My apologies. So that's a good guy to have, and he was also was only born in '89, so he's still in his mid-20s, so he still can produce for you for another decade if you want to keep him around, kind of thing. So that's definitely a guy that you're going to see at first base for the Braves for years to come, I think. Looking at their pitchers, this offseason they signed Jason Grilli and Jim Johnson, both former closers for the Pirates and the Orioles. So, like Jim Johnson had 250-plus career save seasons in 2012 and 2013, so that's a good guy. You got Craig Kimbrell, though, I think, is your closer. Last year he had 47 saves and a 1.61 ERA, so I think Kimbrell's got your closer job locked up there. But with Jim Johnson and Jason Grilli, you got nice guys that can come in the 7th and the 8th inning, be good setup guys for you, for Cade Kimbrell to then close it out. And if Kimbrell has a fallback season or has a rough start, now you got 2 guys that could step into the closer role and do a good job with that for you. So looking at your starters, like I said, you acquired Shelby Miller in your trade with Jason Hayward, so he's a good guy. He's a good starter to have. And then you got Wood, Teheran, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and those 3 guys have all been born in either 1990 or 1991. So they're all young guys as well. They're all either 24 or 25, so that's good. You got some good young starting pitchers there. You got a young starting rotation. So they will need a few years to develop. When you look at Wood and Teheran, again, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. Last season they had 500 records, decent ERAs, kind of thing. So it's going to take them a couple more years to develop and mature. But you got Shelby Miller, who again is a good pitcher to have, coming from the Cardinals. He comes from a winning organization there, so that's good. But like I said, they're all either born in 1990 or 91, so you got 3 good young starters there. Mike Minor will probably be another one of your starters. Horrible record last year at 6-12, but a good veteran pitcher to have. And I think he was only born in '87, so he hasn't even cracked 30 yet either. So that's good. You got these young starting pitchers. Keep an eye on them. I think they'll be able to produce for the Braves this season. You got rid of Hayward and Justin Upton, 2 of your big players, but in return you got Nick Markakis to now take care of right field, who's a better career average hitter, a little bit more veteran guy, and a guy who has seen the playoffs obviously recently with the Orioles. So you got a guy with some playoff experience as well. If you can find a way to surpass the Nationals in your division or get that wild card spot, you got now a guy in right field who's got some playoff experience, so that's good. Again, Justin Upton isn't a guy you trade and you're going to be able to replace very easily. It's hard to find a guy who hits 30 home runs and over 100 RBIs in a season and then trade him and find somebody to replace him. That's going to be tricky to do. But I think Johnny Gomes will fit the bill. Veteran guy, does the little things, plays with his heart, and like all MLB players do, or at least they should be. And that's good. So you got a lot of new guys coming in. Same with A.J. Pierzynski. Now you got Betancourt, a guy to learn from, and a guy who can finish off his career in Atlanta, and hopefully they can have a bounce-back season and have more than 79 wins. I think to win your division, you got to have at least 95 wins. Like I said, the Nationals won it last year with 96, and I don't see them slowing down anytime soon. So you're going to have at least 90-plus wins to get that wild card spot, but if you want to try to beat the Nationals in your division, you're going to have at least 95, because I don't see them slowing down. So good luck to the Braves this upcoming season. Enjoy spring training. Hopefully your new acquisitions will work out well for you. And I will talk to you again at the end of the week with my last Atlanta team, the Falcons of the NFL. Thank you again.